Well, happy Sunday morning, everyone. Welcome to the show. Just adjusting some lights here. If it seems like I'm always in the dark here, I am. I'm in a garage. It's a mobile park or mobile trailer camper garage. I was going to try to open up the windows over there, but they're all sealed shut with Velcro, and I would have had to work my way all around the benches and stuff. So I left it, let a little sunshine in here. So happy Sunday morning, everyone. I think I might start doing the show outside on Sunday morning. And wait, I got a little feedback here from the delay. So let me get rid of that. Take care of that while we're at it here. Boom, there it is. And take that sound down. Boom. So how is everyone today? Master Finn, good to see you over there in the chat room. And Audrey, I think Audrey may have already taken off and started on her walk down the ocean beach over there in California to look at the Pacific Ocean rolling in for the morning. And Susie Q, good to see you. And I saw that Roger Rabbit was here earlier, and they had a rough night with Kinsey, and so they might not be here this morning, but he came to say hello. How cool is that? That's very nice. And so, Roger, I hope you and Carly have a better day today. I know you've had some rough days with Kinsey and with a lot of seizures and so on. That's got to be rough. So, you're in our thoughts, you're in our hearts, you're in our minds. And so, you guys have as peaceful a day as you can today. Maybe we can all just visualize a little peace and quiet for them today, as hopefully Kinsey gets some rest, and so do they. So your hearts are with us. Susie Q's making pancakes, and she'll be back in a bit. All right, Susie Q, pancakes. That sounds pretty good for breakfast. I was going to make pancakes for dinner last night, so we were trying to think of something. We didn't want to go outside, or out to eat. We don't want to keep spending money on going to restaurants and things like that. It's hard when you're not home to sit down and cook meals like you do with the family and the kids. So I thought, I started rummaging through some of the food boxes that we brought along, as well as what's in the pantries here in the trailer. And then we found a hamburger in the freezer. We thawed that out, and our other worker, John, he came over, and he's a great cook. I mean, he's done a bunch of meals for us and stuff because he cooks. He's got a smoker and a grill. We smoked a chicken the other day. We had what did we have that we were cooking on the grill? He brought steaks over and some stuff like that, and so it was fantastic. So he does a lot of cooking for us. Well, he came over and he grilled up those burgers. Said, "Let's go throw them on my grill." We got a grill outside here off the balcony. This big camper has a balcony that comes out. It folds out from the wall, and it's about 12 feet by maybe 8 feet, 9 feet, something like that. As tall as the camper is, and it folds down. The big awning over it. So it was great. Hey, Teresa, happy Sunday morning to you. And I was up too late last night. I'm not quite sure why. You ever have those days? We were sitting and we had some burgers, and I had a burger, and they were so good. They were seasoned so immaculately. I said, I've got to have a second one of those. And I took a couple of bites into it, and I said, I can't eat this with the bun. It's just too much food. So I just ate the meat on it, and got nice and stuffed, and then sat down on the sofa. We turned on my favorite show, which my son had never seen, and I'm all the way caught up on it. But SEAL Team, I love watching that show. And if you haven't seen it, look it up. It's is it a Netflix? No, it's a CBS All Access show, but I think you can get it other places. But we were watching SEAL Team. I fell asleep. I think I fell asleep from about 8 o'clock or so until about 1 in the morning. And I woke up on the sofa. My son was still playing video games because we don't have to do any work on Sunday. It's our kickback day. And so I got up and I was messing around doing a couple of things online and checking out things. And I finally went to bed. I looked at the clock. It's like 4 in the morning. So I was up for 3 hours in the middle of the night, and I thought, oh, that's great. I got to wake up in about 4.5 hours. And then, of course, you lay down in bed and you can't sleep. You ever have those kinds of nights? Just a weird sleeping pattern last night. So I got up roughly about a half an hour ago. I woke up and my alarm, I kept hitting the snooze on it for 5 minutes and woke up. Really, I got up. I said at 20 of 9 o'clock, I have to be up so I can make coffee. I can wash my face, and I can feel like I'm alive before I start the show. And I'm outside, and it's gorgeous outside. Now, maybe this sounds cold to some of you in lower climes, but it's 46 degrees in the morning at 8:30, and it's going to go up into the 60s this morning. And so or this by this afternoon. And so I'm outside in my barefoot, drinking coffee, soaking up the sun that's there. And so it's a gorgeous day. It's kind of nice. And so I've got somebody messaging me. Sorry if you're hearing the beeps, and I got to pause. The announcement, the notification comes up on my screen. I got to shut it off. So, welcome to the program this morning. And as you can see, it is without Rainy this morning. And I said last Sunday that I was going to try to, you know what? That's my daughter. While I'm talking, let me just respond to her. And uh, my whole computer's going to shake. And I'm just going to tell her I'll talk to her later. There we go. All right. So I'm back. Here we are. And so it was gorgeous. I thought maybe we'll do the show outside, but I didn't think to prep to do that, to get a right spot to do it. I could just walk outside with the laptop right now and do it, but then there's no place to sit out there yet. I didn't set anything up. I could set the laptop on the flatbed of the truck and stand out there and talk, but nah. So I came back in. So while it's gorgeous outside, I'm hailing to you from the dark garage. So is Matt flirting with all the older ladies in the room? Matt, you anti cougar. And Sean Bowden, good morning. Good to see you. Sterling, that's Macabre Menace, folks. Good to see you. Kevin Miller, good to see you. I should tell her to join the chat. I told her I was on radio and YouTube, and so maybe she'll just pop in and take a peek. And I wonder if I can I send her a link of this? Maybe I can. No, I'd have to monkey around too much. Get the link and go paste it. So unless this is it. No, 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 no. I can't do that. I'm in studio as opposed to in YouTube. So she'll find it if she wants to get here. She knows where I am. And so, how is everybody this morning? Steph, good to see you. I got to take these off because while I have bifocals in those, you can see them right there. You can see the line in them. That's for close up. When I'm on the radio here, there's something about the distance here that just makes it a little blurry. These are for just a little closer. So I got to take them off. Otherwise, I'm having a problem as if I'm not wearing glasses and I got to squint. so, so hey, everybody. I'm sure glad to have you here. I see something in Kansas. Is that Steve, by the way? Morning, Scott. Hey, yep. It's on my radio station I listen to out of Kansas. It starts at 9. So love it, says Steph. If this is on a radio station, he might be playing a rebroadcast of something. That's what they've been doing over at just a little shop talk while I'm not set up to broadcast over to the radio station. He said, "Hey, I've got 400 shows of yours in archive." So he's been playing my past shows over on the radio station for the last 2 weeks, and hopefully, knock on wood, best laid plans of mice and men. I keep saying I'm going to get set up, get my software taken care of, and all of that, so we can broadcast to both YouTube and to the radio station live. That takes a back seat to other stuff that's going on around here. So I haven't had time to do that. So remember, I'm out here to work, and now we don't work 100% of the time, but I'm displaced. I'm just not in my place. And so it sometimes gets hard to get some of those things accomplished the way I want to. Promises, promises, says Man Finn. Yeah, exactly. And you go ahead and rub that in. Put a little salt in that one too, because it's the truth. So Odyssey Radio, we hope to be back up very soon. Oh, Odyssey Radio isn't up. That's right. He's over there in the studio. Well, Russ is over in Ohio, and the studio. I think everything broadcasts out of the Dallas studios, and so it's how Texas is. One of the things we do, well, most of what we do, is we do reconstruction work, and we're home builders that we work with down here. And so we come out, and rather than being Chuck in a truck that's going around just trying to get people's roofs to do and leaves half of the stuff, just sometimes they do a great job, but they don't do the fascia, along the front of the bottom of the roof or the drip edge or the anything. They don't do any of that. They just replace the shingles. And so we're here, and we go and we do interior work and exterior work because we're home builders. We build everything from the ground up. And so there was a point I was making with that. I rabbit trail myself. I want to make sure I'm explaining myself well. And I tend to rabbit trail because of that while I'm trying to explain or set the stage or give you the verbal visual picture of what's going on. So, but Odyssey Radio, yep, says Russ, they are down in Texas. And so they haven't been broadcasting for a week. Oh, I was going to say, that's brought me right back to my point, is that Texas, now we work with all these people, we work within the scope of their insurance. So what we try to do is stay within the insurance that they're being given from their companies. If their insurance is not giving them enough money, we will go in and negotiate with the insurance company. Say, hey, look here, you can justify this, 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 and this that you did not cover. And many times they just go ahead, do it. Well, now in Texas, there have been, excuse me, there have been more insurance claims as a result of the bitter cold and the storm, or the ice and snow in Texas. In this last week, there have been more insurance claims made than all of last year put together. So there's a lot of wild stuff going on now. Mike Yehudi, Yehudi. I can't be too loud. There's still some people sleeping here Sunday. So my son is up in the upstairs up there through the wall, and Pete is up though. So there you go. Yum pancakes. And so maybe we'll do pancakes today. So making pork, crock pot pork and carnitas. No, Matt. That's okay. You do what you're doing, and if you're listening, that's cool. And crock pot pork I can't even say all that. Crock pot pork carnitas. Say that fast 3 times. So good luck with that, and good eating when you're done. Just got my coffee so far. I don't like to eat in the morning. How are you with mornings? They say eat a good breakfast, and I find when I eat breakfast first thing in the morning, by 10 a.m., 11 o'clock, I'm starving. And so and then I eat more. I tend to eat more throughout the whole day. And then I suppose it's just a thing of using common sense and eating regularly and watching your portions and things like that and what you eat. But I tend to not eat at breakfast in the morning. I'm not usually hungry in the morning, and not usually. And so I'll eat my breakfast, or I'll skip breakfast, and then by lunch I'm okay, and I don't have to pile it on. Look, I got these things over here. Part of what Raini sent me with. She sent me with several boxes of food and things, and this is a whole box full of these. I got that light is way too bright this morning. It's washing things out. Give me a second here to bring that down a bit. And it's hot in here, by the way. The heater's going over there. I didn't shut off. So like this stuff. This is um, oat cereal. It's oats, and you just add a little water. You add a little boiling water in that, mix it up, let it sit for a couple minutes, and you got a steaming bowl of oats. And these are pretty good. But I grabbed one the other day, and it was a apple cinnamon something, just like this, same brand. And I'm pouring in the water, and it's made out of. I notice it's cauliflower. It's cauliflower breakfast. So not this one. This one's oats, but cauliflower breakfast. And I thought that sounds kind of gross. And it looked like oats or cream of wheat, but dehydrated cauliflower. And I ate that, and it felt like I was eating apple cinnamon cauliflower. It just didn't hit me right in the morning, so I skipped those. But I'll have the oats every now and then. Making a Kevin Miller making a drink powder with milk. Take it with me for my hour drive in the morning. You have an hour drive every morning, Kevin? An hour drive? I hate those kinds of commutes. You're in the city. Are you still in the Twin Cities area? And depends on what part of town you're in. That hour commute can be really a pain in the butt. I hate commutes. I used to live out in western Wisconsin, the same town I'm in. Well, not the same town I'm in. I was a little south of where I am now when we had the ranch. And I was a creative director at an advertising agency in St. Paul. Actually, those of you from the Minneapolis area, I was over in Roseville area, which is kind of north and west of St. Paul. And we were out west and south of the Twin Cities in Wisconsin. And it would take me about an hour and 10 minutes to get to work every day. And then driving home, the same thing, of course. And I didn't like that commute. That was not fun for me. Yeah, you're Buffalo to Eden Prairie. Oi, yeah, that's long enough. It's about 50 minutes on a good day. That's all west of the Twin Cities. And so, not my favorite thing to do. Having lived in the country and, of course, working for myself from home on those occasions where I've got to drive into the city, I don't know, to pick up art supplies or meet with a client that's might be local or meet with a friend. Um, I hate driving in the city anymore. And I'm just like, blah. It didn't start yesterday just because I'm an old guy now. That started, 15 years ago. I'm like, I don't like driving to the city. Well, 12 years ago is when we moved back out to the ranch. So, out in western Wisconsin again. So I don't like city driving. I don't like morning commutes. I don't like rush hour commutes. Um, Takes Sterling 40 minutes to get to West Umeda over there in Japan. And so, yeah, it's out for me. Commuting is for the birds. I like working for myself. I like doing my stuff. So I'm looking at, did you know I keep getting these ads? And I knew this because I get information from the state of Wisconsin about the COVID and unemployment and all these things, especially at the height of all that. Did you know that small businesses can get these PPP loans, business loans? And I thought I should look into that. It would be nice to get a business loan for both Rainey's and my businesses. And as I've told you, when we build our house, we want to do the lavender. She wants to do the berry patch. We'd like to do, frankly, maybe this is appealing to some of you in a different way. We had thought of doing like pumpkin patches and stuff like that. And because we know people that make a killing just doing pumpkins, they do 2 acres of pumpkins and they sell them all on the roadside and make a shitload of money at the end of the year. I don't know how much, but you can do the math. You can figure it out. So, yeah, macabre. I said PP, but I added an extra P in there. So it's PPP. And we got Pete has entered the room. Pete's whole setup for gaming is over there. Here, you know what, Pete? Look pretty. There he is. Over on the other side of the garage table. There he is. Pete's going to come on with me tomorrow night. We'll make it work one way or the other. I don't have the software to get a split screen yet. That's what I'm working on. But he's going to come on to the Intrepid radio show tomorrow night. And the fucking ace is macabre. And he is going to come on to the show tomorrow night. We're going to talk more about the things. This is just a random topic. He threw it out during the show the other night while he was sitting over there. The random topic being um, uh, if you won the lottery and you won right now, the last I looked, yeah, $250 million. What would you do? You'd get, I think it was 78 million in the middle of the week. If nobody won it last night, it'll go up now, probably close to 100 million. If you won $100 million after tax, you would probably walk away with about $70 million in your pocket. I mean, spending cash, 70 million. Hi, Scotty Roberts, ugly American. Here, let me buy that for you. You small children that are starving. Now, I'm speaking flippantly, of course, and making fun of it, but imagine, imagine if you will. Well, you know what comes to mind? One of my favorite old movies. If you haven't seen it, I may have mentioned it on this show before. The movie Volunteers. It came out in like 1980 something or other, 85, 86. And Tom Hanks was in it, and that's where he met his wife, who's still his wife, Rita. What's her name? Hanks now. But it was a comedy, of course, an early Tom Hanks movie. And he's a rich kid who gets into gambling debt, and his dad won't bail him out. And he switches places with a friend of his who's going into the Peace Corps. This was one of John Candy's John Candy's movies with him. And, John Candy, Tom Tuttle from Tacoma. Yeah. Oh yeah, I will. I'll get there. I'll get there. I'm rabbit trailing, you see. That's what I do. It's Sunday morning. It's an informal show, but I treat it just like regular shows. My brain works the same way. So we're doing a show on what you would do if you won that a jackpot like that. What would you do with it? Sincerely, not like whores and blow. I'm not talking like that. Maybe some people would do that with their $70 million. But we want you to come up with some things. Think about something, and we'll talk about it in the chat room. Since we don't have a call-in show, we'll talk about it in the chat room. Yeah, we'll read the five best. No, I haven't seen a lot of responses on that yet. So send it over to my email, scottallenroberts@gmail.com. Scott Allen, ALAN, same way I spell it on my website, scottallenroberts@gmail.com. You can go over to my website, scottallenroberts.com, and click on the contact, and you can get there. So send it over there. If you can't email, you can go ahead and send it in my Facebook as well. But tell me what it is. Audrey, good to see you. And so, what I was going to say with the Tom Hanks movie, she's talking about he's on the plane. He's in a white dinner jacket and black bow tie, black pants, and it's the '60s. And so he's flying with all these Peace Corps kids, which he didn't want to have anything to do with. And he ends up in Thailand, and he's getting off the plane, and all these kids are around him. All the kids jump all up and down, and they want something from you, and they want you to throw them a coin or something. And I've experienced that, by the way. That is true in most other countries. So he gets off, most other, shall we say, not first world countries. And so he reaches in his pocket and he pulls out a pack of like Wrigley's spearmint gum or something, and the sticks in individual foil wraps. And he starts throwing gum out to everybody. He's here, have some gum. He says, he names himself and gives his name, not Tom Hanks. Can't remember the character name, but Tom Hanks, ugly American. Here you go. Here you go. There's one for you. I'll run along. And so that popped into my mind. All that build up for that really small line. So watch the movie though, if you get a chance. You'll enjoy it. Volunteers. Let's see. Audrey said, like I said the other day, I would buy Scotty his ranch. Well, if I don't win it, then you're the second in line there. I hope you win it if I don't, then, Audrey. Suppose we got to go buy a ticket, huh? To win. So I don't know if anybody won it last night. Somebody look that up. What's the Powerball for this coming Wednesday? Let's see. Somebody give me the figure on that. Audrey, but I'd buy him that theater he wanted to build. Oh yes, we wanted to build the Globe Theater. It was we called it Project 1599, and that was the year that Shakespeare built the Globe Theater in London back in 1599. And we had a project for a couple of years working, trying to get that project funded, and we got awfully darn close, and but it didn't happen. We were going to do it at the ranch as well. And if you've never seen the Globe Theater, go look it up. There's a replica of the Globe that was built in London by a guy named Schumacher. Now it's been there for a while. I think he started the project in the had to be the 70s or the 80s, and it was slow moving trying to get that. It's almost on the original site of the Globe Theater. It's just a couple of 100 feet away from where the Globe used to stand, and over on the it would be the south bank of the Thames River in London. And it's a beautiful, glorious reproduction of the Globe Theater. And so that's what I want to do. Schmucker says, yeah, that must be one of your favorite little words, Schmucker. If you got Schmucker out of Schumacher, Sterling. 90 million for the next Powerball, says Kevin Miller. $90 million. So think about this, and we'll talk about it tomorrow night. We'll get the 5 best stories of what you would do if you won 90 million, which would yield you roughly 65 to 70 million dollars in your pocket after taxes. And we'll share what we want to do. I think that that'd be a fun show for Monday night. What would you do with $70 million in your pocket? And so send me what you do. It can be a one sentence. It can be a whole written out fantasy paragraph saying, "Here's what I would do. All these bullet points. I would do this and this and this and this and this." I can tell you, you know what I'd do? I'd be very selfish with that money for me and my family, but I'd also put people to work because I got things I want to do. Imagine how many people you could put to work if you put up the Globe Theater as a venue. How many people you could employ? It wouldn't be thousands, but you could gloriously employ many. That's my thing. Macabre says basketball court for the hood. There you go. I'd buy the house I'm in and tear it down and put up a park for kids. Stuff like that. What would you do? That's pretty cool, Macabre. Crystal MacArthur, as long as the Killuminati don't come after me for winning so much money. Yeah, that wouldn't be enough money to join the Illuminati. You only got 70 million. Sorry. You don't make enough money. Plebe. So, Sean Bowden, if I won the lotto, I'd help as many of my fellow Americans as I could. I would too, Sean, but I'd also be pretty damn selfish with some of that. I'd be building my dream house on my dream land. I'd be building my pet projects. I'd be putting up that big hangar on my land somewhere and build my replica of the original Star Trek sets from Desilu Studios in the 60s. I'd have that. That would be, Pete, could you imagine having your gaming room be the bridge of the Enterprise on a big screen? Oh, that'd be amazing. It's like I get shivers right now thinking about that. I was originally thinking I'd love to do the original 60s series sets, like they have up in, you should look it up if you have time, up in Ticonderoga, New York, the guy who's got the original sets. And I do that. I also look at the new Enterprise that they are building for Captain Pike. Oh, I can't wait for that series to come out. Imagine that with the big view screen like they have it. You could rig that up. That's a sets, of course, and there's a lot of After Effects in post when they're editing that. But imagine building that and making it look that cool. I'd do that too. Maybe I'd have 2 of them, and we'd have the the original and the new Enterprise sets from Star Trek that you could come and tour and charge. A guy in Ticonderoga charges $20 a piece for people to go through those sets. It's worth it. We're going one of these days. We're going. Russ, if you're still listening, Russ and I. Russ, if you're out there, say a couple of words about the Federation. Russ has a foundation called Trek. Well, the website is Trek, Trek, TrekFederation.com. And you can go see what they do. You can look at it now if you want to. And they don't have sets built, but they have made their offices look as, yep, there he is. He says, yep, we're going. Russ and I talked about putting a trip together where anybody here listening to this show might want to come along and go on that trip and visit those sets. And I think that would be awfully damn cool. And while we're in Ticonderoga, we spend a day in the Star Trek sets. We take our pictures. We do all our stuff. I get a picture in the captain's chair. And then we move on. We go over and we see Fort Ticonderoga, total other end of history, real history. Where I was there once, we were doing battle reenactments from the French and Indian War. It was Fort Carillon when the French owned it, and then we took it from them. The British did, and renamed it Fort Ticonderoga. Why they would name a fort after a pencil, I just don't know. That's always escaped me. But we make a weekend of it. Go up and see the sets and do stuff. Russ says, yeah, you tell me when and I'll arrange it. We'll go in Galileo, which is a real vehicle. They've got their minivan looking like the Galileo, souped up Galileo shuttlecraft from Star Trek. So, yeah, we'll go. And of course, some people might have to fly in, like Audrey, unless she really wanted to drive from California to New York. But I think that would be a really fun thing for a bunch of us to do. Who'd ever want to do that? Just look at it. It's not that hard. Look at airfare from where you are to New York, and of course that changes all the time. But we'll let you know when we work that out. Beam me up, Scotty, says Sterling. It's 12:30 a.m. Got to get to bed. Love you, bro. Love you too over there in Japan. Macabre, you have a good night's sleep and fun. Konnichiwa. Konnichiwa. Whatever that means. I think it's a hello, isn't it? Not a goodbye. Not a see you later. Sayonara. Sayonara. Macabre, look how that fast that came to my mind. So so thanks for being here, Sterling. I've driven to New York plenty of times. It's not that far from me, says Teresa. Yeah, you're in Massachusetts, something like that, I believe. I'm in for that trip, says Scott Allen. Yeah, I think that would be very cool. Maybe we'll rig that up for this summer and see what we can do. I don't think we need a year to plan that one. We can just put that event up and say we're going to go do this, and we'll maybe arrange something special with find out what's going on at the Star Trek sets in Ticonderoga, and we'll see if we can make a special trip out of it. And Audrey, you get to Ohio, and we'll all go together to the sets. There you go, Russ. You get up to Ohio, where Russ lives and where the Federation is headquartered. And Russ, will you type in the link in the chat room to the Federation website so people can go take a look at what you do? Oh, Maryland. Sorry, Teresa. I know Massachusetts, Maryland. It's all out there, New England. It all melds together for me. You can take a train also. That sounds cool. I took a train one time. My ex-wife, Sam's mom, and the girl's mom. We took a train from Detroit over to Toronto, up in Canada, and spent a nice weekend up there. So that was kind of fun. 7:30 here, and I've been awake for almost 5 hours, says Sean Bowden. Man, I'm sorry to hear that, Sean. I had a weird night like that, only the other way around. I slept too long on the sofa, and then was awake from like 1:30 in the morning until 4 in the morning, something like that. So there you go. Here's to you, Sean. Audrey's dad would want to go too. My love sci-fi, monster movies, and westerns come from my dad. Her love of those things. That's fantastic. I'd like to meet your dad, Audrey. You guys, like I say, we'll get a date and we'll make plans. And so, hey, watch for Raini. I tagged her in this post this morning. Can't have her on the last couple of weeks, and today, of course, also, obviously. But once we get all rigged up, software-wise, we'll have her back in here. Nearest airport to the sets is in Vermont. How far is Vermont from Ticonderoga? I'm curious. So, Russ, do you know? Nearest airport for Federation is Cleveland, Ohio. There you go. So, yeah, we'll work it out. Everybody think about it. It's like when we took a trip to Egypt and we took people on the trip. And that's a much more expensive trip, of course. But we figured all out. You can get a flight to Cairo even today for something like $750 or $800. You go, oh, that's a lot of money on my budget. Well, if you save for a year for a trip like that, you can do it. Audrey says, my dad is a Marine and my superhero. You'd like him, Scotty, and vice versa. Cool. Hey, Dad. I'm probably his age. So much older than you are, Audrey. You young thing, you. And see, Steph says, we ride up in Vermont all the time. Now I'm going to look where you're talking about. Ticonderoga, New York. Go take a look at that, Steph. And hey, Beth, how you doing? Beth, you want to come with us all to see the Star Trek reproduction of the Star Trek sets? It's the sets from the 1960s. And this guy up in Ticonderoga, New York, built a total reproduction of all the sets. He had the blueprints of the Desilu studios and how they were laid out. And he built that all. It's an attraction up in Ticonderoga, New York. Funny, seems like a funny place to have those. Me, Scotty, and 2 open spots in Russ's van. Otherwise, you can fly up there and meet us up there. And we'll maybe get a hotel where we can all hang out together and stuff like that. We'll see what we can do. Make an event out of it. Maybe some special speakers. Oh, wouldn't that be neat? We should have William Shatner come and speak, but he's probably $40,000 for a half hour, knowing how these guys charge. I told you about some of the celebrities we spoke with for the Paradigm Symposium, what they wanted to charge. Neil deGrasse Tyson. We tried to get him for the second Paradigm Symposium in 2013. And he's the one whose handlers got back to me. Oh, Dr. Tyson would love to come and speak at your symposium. And we got down to talking about the numbers. And he was $76,000 for an hour and a half lecture. And I chuckled. I told some of you this story. I chuckled and said, 76 grand. I said, I only make half that when I speak. They didn't laugh along with me. I told them, that's pretty much 2/3 of my budget for the entire 12 speakers we have and the whole event. So I said, sorry, can't swing it. And they hung up pretty quickly. They weren't interested anymore in talking to me. Go figure. Speaking of Shatner, I just watched The Ancient Aliens, the show that he did. How was that? I don't watch Ancient Aliens anymore. I haven't really watched Ancient Aliens much in the last few years due to my falling out with Giorgio Tsoukalos and then Eric Von Daniken, of all people, falling out, which was really pushed by Giorgio Tsoukalos and my falling out with him. So it was pretty stupid, the whole thing. Stupid stuff. And I just lost interest. I didn't want to watch those 2 guys anymore. So loved it. They delved into the pyramids. You might want to watch it. Maybe. If I can put up with watching Giorgio Tsoukalos for an hour. Now, I've never really bad-mouthed Tsoukalos. I'll tell you that. Never really bad-mouthed Von Daniken. But there's a point where you go, I got to tell you how disappointed I was in both of them. And did I have my own wrongs in that? No. There is not another perspective. It was these guys being greedy bastards and trying to make me look like I'm an idiot. And well, that's a bad way to put that. I could probably make myself look like an idiot all on my own. But let's suffice it to say, I told this story once before. I'll tell you with Eric Von Daniken, we had agreed to a certain amount of money to pay him and his travel expenses. But then he got back to us, his assistant, and all of that changed. They were doing an American tour to several different cities, and they wanted me to pay $5,000 a piece for he and his assistant to fly to Minneapolis from Phoenix. I said, I can get that ticket for $98. I said, I don't have $5,000 in my budget for that, fellows. And well, this is what we agreed. I said, no, I agreed to fly you here. I didn't agree to your itinerary and those prices. I'd fly you for first class, but I'm not going to pay $5,000 business class. You wanted business or first class? I said, no, I can't do that. I can't even afford that in my budget. And that led to one thing to another. And Eric Von Daniken withdrew and then was publicizing it everywhere under the guidance of Giorgio Tsoukalos, that I was some kind of grifter that was trying to steal his money. And I remember Von Daniken's assistant telling me his name was Ramon. He was Ramon, and he was from Geneva, Switzerland as well. And he would say he was one who first told me when we first had Von Daniken here in the first year in 2012. He says, "Remember, Von Daniken." He says, "Mr. Von Daniken does not exist in the mornings, so schedule nothing for the mornings for him." And so, but we had a good time the first year we had them out, and so Giorgio's falling out with us came also over money and airfare. On his return trip, he wanted to add his girlfriend to the ticket and have us cover it. And I said, no. I said, we got a budget. You just can't willy nilly add people. So, no, we can't add her to the budget. This was after the fact. This is after they were already here. And there were several unethical things that Giorgio did that I had a problem with. Now, those could be debatable. I mean, he'd have his, I'd debate with him on air about it. So I'm not maligning him or anything. I'm just saying that there were unethical things that he did. And I told you all that about Eric Von Daniken's first American lecture in 12 years when we were allowed to use that tagline, but then Giorgio, not telling us the details, asked if we'd fly Eric out a week early so they could hang out together. I haven't seen him for a while. He's my mentor. Sure. Didn't mention that he was flying him out for other events out east in Boston and places like that. And they were billing Eric Von Daniken as these are his first American lectures in 12 years, which is the way we've been billing our event, which was going to take place a week later. So what did that sound like? It sounded like we were playing second fiddle. It was a marketing thing. It was a money thing. And those unethical things left me a bad taste in my mouth. Giorgio, we had to delay the second half of his payment for a couple of weeks. And we finally sent it to him. It sat in his P.O. box for about 4 to 6 weeks before he even picked it up. And after complaining to us that we didn't have it right away. And I said, sorry, this is our first time out, and we'll get that to you. And we did. We met all the contractual obligations. And so it was just some stupid, silly stuff all the way around. I was going to mention that Eric Von Daniken's assistant told me, he says, well, if we are not getting your $5,000 a piece, then Eric has a budget that is, he was going to buy a piece of artwork in Europe on the way home, and now he cannot do that. And I said, there's going to be a lot of people at this event that paid good money to see Eric, who will still be here. Now, they flew here anyway. They flew to Minneapolis anyway. They just stayed in a hotel and they didn't show up at the event because I couldn't pay the $5,000 a piece for the airline tickets. And I said, why don't you come on down anyway, and we'll get you what we can get you out of that. We'll cover as much of that as we can. We'll cover as much as a standard airfare. They had nothing to do then, and so he couldn't get his artwork, but he was still there, and he still didn't see his fans that paid to see him. And I said, there's a lot of people who paid for tickets to see Eric Von Daniken who can't afford $5,000 pieces of art in Europe or whatever it costs. I said, so if that's more important to Eric right now, now that one was on me, yes, but that's the difficulty. So, them types, says Delaney. PSS ungrateful snobs, maybe. You mean the lovable alien guys on TV cared more about cash than spreading the information that they may change how we look at our history? Shocking, says Master Finn. And yeah, shocking, wasn't it? So, and I could go on for a whole hour, so I'll stop it there about all the details of that. And the long arms, Giorgio Tsoukalos actually told me in one. He says, I have a huge bully platform. I don't know what you call it, soapbox or something. I can ruin you." I said, "Well, why don't you go ahead and give it your best shot?" I said, "I don't appreciate that kind of talk." And that was back in 2013, 2014, somewhere in there. So, yeah, Steph says she has a different take on them. Yeah, I didn't appreciate that at all. I thought that that was very low of them. Yes, I had agreed to pay a certain. I had agreed to pay. Well, I paid them their certain amounts, mind you. I just had to put a little delay on part of it until we knew we had gate covered. We lost a big investor that year, and we had a $35,000 sponsor investor that dropped out 2 weeks before the show, and so we actually had to cut some people for that show. But we were trying to keep the big names in there too. I can't pay $5,000 for your airfare. I'll fly you up from Phoenix as contracted, but I cannot pay for first class the way. Well, you know what they did? They took all the places they were flying around the country to all these 12 different events, whatever it was, and they got a total and they divided it equally amongst all the places they were going. So your cut of the our airfare is $5,000. That's what it was, something to that effect. I said, can't do it. I can fly you up here and get you here and pay you, but not for that kind of airfare. Blah 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 blah. There you go. Hey Barry, good to see you, Elder Barry. Nice to have you in here, Susie Q. Glad to see you back from cooking pancakes. Do you cook pancakes or do you fry pancakes? Patchmo. Oh my God, I haven't seen you forever. Good to see you, brother. Glad to see you made it into the show. I don't know, Sean, still up in arms, says Patch. And so glad to have you in here. Guys, if you see Rainy pop in by any chance, bring it to my attention. Say something. Because I missed her when she was here last week. So anyway, all that to say, no, I did not watch the William Shatner on Ancient Aliens. I just, I, I didn't talk about this stuff for a long time. I didn't think it was ethical. And I thought, no, I'm going to be better than they are. I'm not going to talk about this because Sukalos was posting stuff all over the Ancient Aliens groups and stuff. And remind you, this is 6, 7 years, 7, 8 years ago. And I just had nothing to do with it back then. So, making bacon, says Sean Bowden. You know, it used to be entendre for sexual activity. But I don't know if it's still used as that. Of course, everything's an entendre. So I always get Sundays. Yeah, I'm drinking Red Bull. Yeah, oh chicka chong chong. And so there you go. Doug Stack, how you doing? Walmart again. It says, what, you were at Walmart this morning, Doug? Um, thank you, Elderberry, and good morning to you. Good morning, good morning. Oh, what a beautiful morning. Oh, what a beautiful day. I've got a beautiful feeling everything's going my way. Blah, blah, blah from Oklahoma, by the way. Was that Rogers and Hammerstein or Lerner and Lowe? I think it was Rogers and Hammerstein. Anyway, whatever. I'm not gay. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I do like musicals. Doug spent $413 yesterday at Sam's Club. Would you stock up? Bring some of that meat down here. Let's have a cookout. It's getting warm again. And Doug, as you have mentioned before, he's about an hour north of me here. So, Patchmo, to bakery. Oh, he's flipping off the bakery. Uh-oh, what happened? And Broadway Tunes with Scotty, the next radio show. Bottom ching. Yeah, I could do a lot of them. So I was learning Broadway songs, and I don't know what the draw was. I think my mom had a bunch of when I was growing up in the 60s, had a bunch of old LP albums, and she bought all of those like Camelot and West Side Story. And she had Baker Street. which was, frankly, if you've never heard of it, it's a musical on Sherlock Holmes. And let's see, I have a vague memory of having done this on radio before, but there was a song, I think it's called "Elementary" from that, and Sherlock Holmes is being visited by a guy that has a case, and it says, let's see if I memorized this when I was a kid. I mean, I didn't sit down and memorize it. I used to listen to it because I liked it. And it said something. It starts off and it's talking. The guy, you remember the old actor Fritz Weaver, who I think is no longer with us. You saw him in a lot of television shows and stuff like. He's one of those actors that was omnipresent, and he played Sherlock Holmes on in this play on Broadway. And it starts with and he talks because he doesn't really sing, and he says in this recording, it said, "Now let's see if I remember this." He says, "Sit down, my dear Captain Gregg, or is it Lieutenant?" And the other guy says, "Captain, Lieutenant, what makes you think I'm in the army at all, for that matter?" And Holmes says, "Oh, come, come. Your profession isn't hard to perceive. Your manner, your bearing, the very clothes you're wearing, that handkerchief tucked in your sleeve. A military custom, I believe. And of course, you're an officer. Sandust. Am I right?" I don't know what that was because I didn't see the visuals. "And you're too young for a major, and so I should gauge you're a captain." And he responds, "Well, I'll be quite." He says, "Sir, I'm amazed." He says, "You show surprise, and yet the facts are there before your very eyes." He says, and then the chorus of the song is, "It's so simple, so bloody simple. It's as simple as a simple thing can be." He says, "And isn't hard to place. There's a woman in your case." "Oh, yes, it's simple. There's A, B, C." And the guy says, "Well, look here. How on earth did you know there was a woman involved in my case?" And he says to Watson, "Oh, that was Watson. How did you know there was a woman involved in his case?" And he says, "The same way I know you sent off a telegram today." And he goes, "What?" And he goes, "You did send a telegram." And he says, "Yes, but," and he says to the officer, "Your problem is a woman?" He says, "Yes, but how?" And he says, "Well, my dear Watson," he says, it's kind of going first to Watson, and he says, "If you would please examine the heel of your slipper, you'll note a trace of clay there, the color of a kipper. That hue is a clue, and it makes my case complete, for such clay is only found where they're digging up the ground at the doorway to the post office on Whitmore Street. Now, as for you, sir," he addresses the captain, "as far as I can see, the reason for your nervousness can only be one of three: either a mortal threat, or a very pressing debt, or the utterly inhuman machinations of a woman who is possibly toying at destroying your career. Now, is it she, or money, or terror brings you here? Now, from your bravery tonight, it would surely appear that if it's anything at all, it isn't violence you fear, and you gave that old poor beggar on the street so much money that it's clearly the last alternative, and positive I am when I say, cherchez la femme." Why, sir, I'm amazed. You show surprise, and then they go into the chorus again. So all of that's in my head. I'm sure I messed it up somewhere, but I was a grade school kid, and I listened to those albums so much that that's stuck in my head. Um, I used to listen to West Side Story because I liked the music in it. We're talking in the late '60s, early '70s, and I had memorized. There were some things I had never seen the play or the movie, yet I visualized what was happening in my head. And the first time I saw that movie, I was excited to see it because I wanted to see where the songs fit in. And there were certain scenes, the death of Tony on the barrio basketball ground, and her crying, Maria crying. It was Natalie Wood, and I can't remember the actor's name. I believe he's still alive today, even though he was a young man in the '60s when that was done. So I see those things. So Patch says we have a duty to fight in the wake of and stave off these vaccines. Now there's a total switch in the topics, but Patch, I wonder about that sometimes. I don't want to get the vaccine. I have my daughters are pressing me to get the vaccine, and all of that, and so Rainey doesn't want to vaccine our kids. I vaccinate. I don't either. I met an older woman who is PhD here needing her roof done, and we were talking out in her yard, and she was talking about how she's a master's, not a PhD, and she told me what she'd written her master's in, and we got to talking, and she was politically right and talking about vaccines, and she had a lot of knowledge about medicines and health and stuff like that. She was saying she, at like 80 years old, I'll never get that vaccine. But then I have another potential client, an older man, who said, "Yeah, I just got my." He sounds like, um, I don't know. Maybe Pete, you can verify this. He sounds like that old creepy pedophile dude from what is it, The Family Guy? He didn't have so much of a list, but he was like, "Yes, I'm in my 80s, and I had my vaccine, and I had the rest of my vaccine, the second one, the other day. I have to see how that works. And do you like gladiator movies, Bobby?" So, giggity. And so, there you go. So I've got them on both sides, both ends. I've talked to people lately. I'm not doing an RNA cellular modifying vax where you can't sue if you're harmed by it, says Matt Finn. The woman I was talking to, the master's woman, she was talking about how she says it's not even really a vaccine. She started talking about the properties of it. Oh, they changed the definition of what a vaccine is. So it's changed, folks. So I'm very dubious. Some people come through it with flying colors, but you know what? You're going to have to get it again next year. It's a vaccine that, what does it do? They don't know yet that it prevents anybody from getting coronavirus or a strain of it. So it doesn't prevent it. Um, it doesn't do it for life, So you're gonna have to take the vaccine again next year, like a flu virus vaccine. Um, it all these things about it. So I'm not prepped to talk about that. So Elderberry says they assault me with any of this BS. I'm assaulting back always. And yeah, let's hope that nobody. I don't think they can do it in the United States, but they can't make it mandatory. But you know what they can do? They can get businesses that support it and all that. That will say, "We won't do business with you if you don't take the vaccine. You're not welcome here," and so on. So let's see where that all goes. And um, there was something I wanted to read to you. If you're on my Facebook, you may have seen this already. But this is something I posted late last night. And this is just about, you can call this political if you want. I call it news and current events. And um, I posted, what have we learned about President Biden, thanks to CNN and other mainstream media outlets? What have we learned so far? Think about what you've learned about President Biden and what he's doing. Here's what we've learned so far. Number one, Joe likes to build fires in the Oval Office. Two, President Joe likes to use the fireplace. Three, Uncle Joe enjoys reading the newspaper on airplanes. And number four, Joe likes wearing slippers in the White House, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. This is the stuff we're hearing out of the big news media. So apparently, the more boring Joe appears to the American public, as the Americans yawn and stretch, it's easier for him to pass those radical policies. Now, you can go look him up. You can go see the stuff he's done for yourself, as you undoubtedly may have missed them along the way. As the news talks about his fire building and the fireplace in the Oval Office. Now, while Joe may be all for this Green Deal, new Green Deal, he wants to shut down the oil industry and so on, so forth. He's okay with cutting down trees and using wood to burn in the fireplace, unless, I don't know, maybe he's got some synthetic thing that they've made out of petroleum products that burns in the fireplace. I don't know. So, um, what you see about Joe in the news is truly opposite of President Trump, who commanded everyone's attention. He commanded it. And so he was always scrutinized for what he did. Joe just Joes along while the media just smiles and returns to their needlepoint. And the next thing you know, you've got the expansion of the welfare state and trillions of dollars for cockamamie climate plans. I got the cockamamie from, it's not a word I haven't used before, but I got that from Greg Gutfeld talking about these same things. But hey, at least we learned that Joe loves kids better than people. That was at his last town hall. I love kids better than people, because you're not a kid. You're not a kids aren't people, right? So misspeak. It's famous Joe stuff. But we learned that he loves kids better than people. We also learned that Joe has declared that pesky America first policy and philosophy for America is going to be thrown away like yesterday's birdcage liner. So say bye bye to your tax dollars as they wing their way to Iran and Pakistan. Did you know he's sending $50 million to Iran? 50 million or billion, I'm sorry, $50 billion to Iran in aid on their promise that they will not continue pursuing the development purification of uranium. There you go. Well, they promised, let's send them $50 billion. Yeah, now pull this leg and it'll play Jingle Bells. And by the way, here's a new magazine show idea for CNN. Let's entitle it, What If It Were Trump? So that's what I posted last night. And you can look at that and you can ask your questions. I had some weird people say things in there. Some of them can't type English very well. In his thing, it says he went to a seminary and he lives in the United States. I thought maybe English is his second, not his first language. But he would say things to me like last night, like, "What hell did Trump do? When rioting happened, you, Scotty, need a reality check." Okay, that's how I came out. I kind of got where he was going with that. And so I said, what do I need a reality check? This was a post about boring Biden, not about Trump. And somebody else came in and said to him this morning, Trump is still living rent free in your head, isn't he? Move along. Well, then this fellow, he went on to say, first with a one ST, first to Scotty, what the hell you talking about? What about your Trump did nothing to stop the virus? And I thought, okay, I'll bite. He's commented on a couple of other posts of mine. And I said, remind me under which POTUS was Operation Warp Speed. Trump didn't do enough to get a vaccine. What did he do to fight the virus? Hear that all over the place. This is a narrative, folks. It's being pushed on us by the left, by the leftist, predominantly leftist news media that support Biden and hated Trump. Although Trump was good for business for them, I don't know why they hated him so bad. But I asked, he says, Trump did nothing to stop the virus. I said, what do you call, under what president was Operation Warp Speed? Amongst, I wasn't going to get into details with him. And he responded, I do not know what world you live on, but Trump did shit for most Americans. That was one of the most cogent lines he typed. And he said, then his second post, Republicans are doing nothing now. He thinks he's getting to me because he thinks I'm a Republican. Where is Trump care? LOL, he asked. And I said, you're correct. Trump did do a lot of shit for most Americans. What's your point? And I wasn't going to get into the whole healthcare issue. I had no time to debate this fellow. And he says, did nothing to help anyone I know, only serve the rich. And I said, sorry to hear that you weren't paying attention over the last 4 years. He says, I guess you are rich. And I didn't see that post last night. And I said, that's complete BS. I said, please describe to me what Trump did to benefit only rich people. And in your own words, since you're criticizing him with that point, don't give me a post or a link. Let's hear what you think you know. I say that to people a lot because I ask them questions and tell me what you believe about that. Okay, that's your point. I disagree. Tell me why you hold that position. And I'll get a link. I go, I don't want to see a link. I want to hear in your words. You just in your own words. You didn't post a link to take me to task for what you disagree with what I'm saying. You said it with your own words. So why don't you, in your own words, tell me why you disagree? What's your point? If you want to have a debate, don't throw a link at me because I won't read it. I won't even look at it. I want to hear what you have to say. And so I said, are you looking at the bettering of the economy in America in general, or whether anyone you know got a free handout? By what meter are you gauging your charge that Trump has done nothing to help anybody you know? And he said, helping the poor is not handouts. As disability person, oh, maybe that comes down to maybe he has to speak his lines into a machine. I have no idea. He said, I asked for my state to help me, but they do nothing. And I said, if you're going to come into my threads to simply throw out talking points without backing your claims with a little knowledge, go do that elsewhere. I don't have the time to waste on it. And now you can see we're already getting 20 plus posts into this discussion. And I'm like, and I try to answer people because I don't want them to think I'm just avoiding them. And I said, start by answering my first question. Under which POTUS was Operation Warp Speed? And then he comes back and says, I mess with you. Why not? LOL. But I try proof my points too. You make fair argument for that. And I said, which of your 10 comments above was you attempting to prove your points? Then he posted an Atlantic.com, the Atlantic thing on 13 things Trump got right. Okay, thanks. I didn't read it. And he says, how running out of vaccines? He should push harder for it. How do you think that? And I asked him, how do you think vaccines are manufactured? And this guy responds, he did nothing be baby his last 15 days. And I said, and he said, why did he not push for more other telling people to shut up beach? And I said, he's no longer in office. Operation Warp Speed was pushing about as hard as and fast as anyone could in that position. Tell me, how long does it generally take for a brand new vaccine to get developed, tested, and released to the public? 18 months on minimum, Pete just threw in there. You must know, since you're criticizing Trump for how slow he achieved this. And he said, I admit he pushed a little bit, but he's still voice of Republicans for now. He could get message to make more vaccine. You admit we be making more. Why are not more pharmaceutical company in states doing more? Even the Russians are doing better than so-called free market. And I said, by this point, it's late, tired of this back and forth. I said, so move to Russia. And I said, tell me why. And I don't remember what that was in response. You know how posts go up. And I said, it becomes exceedingly clear that you're woefully behind on your facts and are a dumbed down victim of the left and the MSM, mainstream media. And I said, okay, 25 posts on this banal ridiculousness is enough. Go to bed, I told him. And I said, I have to ask, are you using some sort of faulty voice to text, or are your grammar and syntax really that bad? I said, you've got to brush up the way you express yourself and type if you're going to dialogue in a public thread and want people to understand what the hell you're saying. That may sound a bit elitist or snobby of me, but when I have to spend extra time just trying to figure out precisely what you're trying to say and where you're going with your point, it becomes a tedious process. And so there you go. And there were 4 more replies. He came in last night. Yes, it my iPhone. It must hate me. LOL. I'm sorry, but I do have dysgraphia. Okay, that explains it. There you go. Nobody has to apologize for disability. And Al Schmidt came in and said, did nothing? He's responding to this fellow. He says, besides getting a vaccine in a year, and oh, by the way, what exactly should he have done that would have been effective against a virus no more deadly than the flu? What he did do was in his power. Stop travel from China and Europe, lets the states do what they needed to do. Why I'm even explaining about such a stupid comment anyway. Then he went on and said, "Only the rich. You are clueless, I can tell by your comments." So that's the kind of stuff that's being said. And I thought I'd share that this morning. That's part of what I was doing between 1 and 4 a.m. this morning, and amongst other things. Um, so the vaccine is where that came from. Somebody started talking about the vaccine. I don't intend on taking it, but then I have to contend with my daughters and everybody else on that, and then they're so emotionally invested in it that I got to explain to them why I'm not doing that. Yes, it's the emotional response to it all. Yep. Mhm. Right, right. That's like what I said to my daughters. I said they'll have to convince me that it's worth doing, that it's good for us, and so far, no. So um, I'm not convinced. Now, my one daughter, and I mentioned this on the show one night, a few weeks ago, that my daughter's father-in-law is a physician, and they administered the vaccine. They were one of those practices that was chosen to administer and keep track of records of responses to it and so on. He said he's seen no negative responses. And he said, you know what? He says, if you don't want to take the vaccine, just don't take it. And he's the one that told me, and I've told you all this, I've reported this back to you folks in the radio show that, he says, if you don't want to take it, don't take it. It's not a big deal. He says, I haven't found any problems with it. And he said, you know what? COVID is going to be a thing of the past pretty soon, too. He says, just like the Spanish flu, it'll die out. And he says, you have to reach 75% herd immunity before something is really officially dead. And so there are cases of Spanish flu every now and then. Yeah. Random, rare cases of it. But it's pretty much a dead virus from 100 years ago. Same thing's going to happen to COVID. So there you go. So anyway, um, that's enough on that. I don't even like talking about COVID and the virus. Not my thing. Hey, Pyramid Seven, haven't seen you for a while. Good to see you. Hey, Maya Cato, glad to have you here. Maya says, "Hey, I'm just going to let everyone else take it. Then, if it works, they'll be protected from me, and I'll be protected from them." Well, there you go. I had COVID, and they told me now I'm immune from spreading it or getting it for at least 90 days. I think from the time I was done with COVID, I'm probably out about 45 days, 50 days now. So I don't know. Maybe in the next 6 weeks, I'll become susceptible again. I don't know. So don't ever get the vaccine, says Patch. And I've read a lot about that and heard a lot about that. So Pyramid says our youngest, who works in healthcare, got both of the shots. Did fine. It's yet to be determined, obviously, if it will affect her being able to have children or healthy ones. We don't know that stuff yet. So there you go. I got to tell you, it is excessively hot in here, and um, thinking of moving this outside. I could walk outside. Oh, Pete's got his little controller. He can turn off our heat. I could move this outside. Let's do it. Oh, I know what he's gonna do. See that wall over there, folks? Here, that back that's pulled out. That's a patio, just like the one we have on the side. So he's gonna open up that patio, and we'll become an outdoor show here very quickly. So that'll be kind of fun. But I'm not going to show you my pile of dirty laundry down here. See, I'm not going to show you that. dirty laundry sitting all there. The laundromat here, we don't have a washer and dryer in the camper, but they have one at the facility here at the campground, and for all these big campers that are here, and you hear it happen. Oh, look at that! We got sunlight coming in. Holy cow! Look at that. The back patio is now open. And this is there you go. So there you go. What was once in is now out. I told that to Raini once. So giggity. So over and over again. Oh, I'm so dirty. I can't believe how dirty he gets on his shows. Giggity. So I've never been a believer or follower of Q. Okay, we're still on Q and stuff, or the conspiracies surrounding that movie. And that's okay. You guys can talk about all that all you want. Hey, we're outside now. This is really cool. I like this. I sent you a link, Scotty. Oh, I got receipts and stuff going around here. Let me grab the one that's blue. Pretty cool. There we go. That's okay.
I don't want to be a dick, but I mentioned
it. I don't want to be a dick, but I really don't care. That's what it comes down to. So, whew. Hey, Sam. There's my son. Come here and sit with me for a moment. He is sunshiny and bright and bushy-tailed. Everybody, see my son Sam, who just woke up. Have a seat for 2 seconds. That's his morning. I don't speak English before I've had my shower, a poop and a shave language. So it's a beautiful day outside here. It is. It's a little cloudier today, but it's going to be around 60, and which is nice. I like that. See, now we've got the other patio doors open, so we got a nice breeze coming through here now, and it's a nice breeze, by the way. It's a great change from this day 1 week ago. It was like Sunday night was like 12 below zero or 2 below zero or something like that, and we had the ice storms here for 2 days. It was nasty. Now it's getting back to what it's supposed to be. You gonna come and sit? Come on and sit for a minute. Come on, just a couple of minutes. Come on. All the cool kids are doing it. Come on, Sam. Come on. My own offspring gave me a finger symbol.
What does that symbol mean?
I don't know. What does that mean, Sam? Tell me. Oh my goodness. Oh, no idea. So, yeah. Good morning, Sam. Susie Q sends you a cup of coffee. Good morning. Sam grumbles out from the other room. So, yeah, it's gorgeous outside. We can be out in our shirt sleeves walking around. So, I wish I could show you some of the devastation from where we sit, but I could if I walked out there and did it, but I'm not going to do that. So, Sam, sign language, says Matt Finn, or Maya Cato. You've been following George News Patch? Okay, that's totally different. Okay. I know, Audrey. 8F more listen. We wouldn't be as deep into mess. News told you lies about Q. Oh, yeah, we all know that. Yeah, it was actually the military intelligence. JFK couldn't talk to the people. It's vital they can. That's why Q placed. So you coming to sit just for a minute? Yeah, 30 seconds. Come on. Sit with your dad. Oh, you can put off your shower for a minute or so. You won't stink any worse. Oh, whatever. There he is. There's my boy. I'll put on my glasses now. There we go. There's my boy Sam. So what are you gonna say? You got anything on your mind this morning? Nope, nothing on your mind.
Ready to take a shower.
Take a shower. Yeah, I got to take a shower today, and we got to do laundry today.
We got that Robert.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Don't
I don't
you
have
smell
funk. I smell pretty all the time. So I can't help it. I just smell pretty. So you
Pretty
stink pretty.
disgusting.
I'm pretty disgusting. Bye. Go shower.
Bye-bye.
All right. You look fine, Sam, really, says Susie Q. Hey, Sam, your dad is a good man, brother, says Matt Finn. So there you go. Maya Keto, resisting making a Star Trek reference, but I want to make your Star Trek reference. They're welcome here, Maya. I don't know what that's what the antecedent to that comment is, but there we go. Let's see. You look fine, Sam. Susie says you got 30. Always be thankful he loves you, as mine is a POS. Yeah, Matt. I love my son. I treat him too much like a dad, though, sometimes, and he's an adult. And I try to father him too much. I get on him about stuff. But that's the way I am. We got into an argument a few days ago, and I was like, Sam, shut up. And don't tell me to shut up. I'll tell you to shut up. I'm your dad. So, blah, 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 blah. You know how that goes. So, anyway, I need to find heat, sun, and sand, says Steph. Yes, Steph, you do. Break out that two-piece bikini and find yourself a sunny, sandy, warm beach and send pictures. So, oh boy, was I just harassing by today's statements one of my listeners? Is that harassment?
Yeah.
Yes, yes, it is. If we were in an office, Steph, you could slap me with a lawsuit and take everything I have. Even the clothes off my back. Giggity. Oh, I just made it worse. Technically, I am the dad. You're right. Yeah, I'll always be the dad. He'll always be my boy. So, anyway, and if anybody was offended by the last 2 minutes of me making fun of Steph or making fun with Steph, I don't care. So, as long as Steph isn't offended, let's see. Helene Moody. I remember that kerfuffle. Personally, I cannot abide fame monsters. If their work is so game changing and vital to the human race and Earth, give it away. FFS. What's FFS? Oh, for fuck's sake. Okay. It took me a second. I had to, sometimes the new, Pete was the first one who introduced me to AF. He says, I'm like brilliant AF. And I go, you're what? He says, I'm brilliant AF. So what the hell's AF? Oh, as fuck. Okay, got it. It's pretty breezy. Yeah, my hair's blowing all over. That's right. Pop. Uh-oh, we're gonna have a door slam shut here from the wind. And we got the wind rushing through here, which is nice because it gets all the dog hair. Oh, this dog is the hairiest beast I know. And he's a skinny little thing, but his hair clumps are everywhere. And I just see him. I see this big ball. It's like a tumbleweed going across the floor right now. So from his accumulated hair that falls out and catches on things. Sean says my backyard is a beach, but it's not sunny and warm. Sean, what lake, ocean? Tell us more. Um, let's see, what's Audrey saying? Patch says yes, Audrey, but consumption of children's blood, crimes against humanity, theft and treason is a crime that needs addressed. When all comes to light, the things they did to us, all will turn your stomach. Yeah, I believe you. I believe you. So, my opinion, IMO or IMHO, humble opinion is another one, Captain. That one I know. IMO and IMHO. I always like the STUF. No, STFU. I've used that one. So sometimes I had to look them up. I just had to take the initials and I throw it into a Google search, and you know what happens? It comes up with the definitions. How about that? So I live on Whidbey Island in Washington State, says Sean. So you got the Pacific rolling in there. Is that Puget Sound area? Something like that up there? I knew somebody who lived in Puget Sound area. So yeah, Sue's so neat a bike week. Good, Steph. Biking. I love biking. So Steph says, Wahahaha, I'll send pics from Daytona in 12 days. And hell no, I'm not offended. A comment from you. Thank you. Thank you, Steph. I'll gauge that by the pictures. I've seen pictures of you. You're gorgeous. So, let's see. Steph says, yes, Sue's so need bike week. Yep. It's motorcycles. Oh, I remember my dad, who's of course much older, not much older. He's 23 years older than I am. And I told him once several years ago, which is about the time I met Raini. I said, yeah, I've been biking about 6 to 12 miles a day. And I said, I dropped at that time, I had pushed 270 pounds and closer to 280. Closer to 280 because I dropped 63 pounds, something like that. It was like 210 to 214 was my prime. It was like my welter wrestling weight, boxing weight, lightweight at 210. I'm 255 ish right now. And so when I got down to 210, if I were to accomplish that again, I'd be a skinny man. And I told my dad, I said, he said, well, how'd you do that? And I said, well, I'm biking 10, 12 miles a day, 6 miles on one course, 12 miles on another. And he says, and we kept talking. He goes, oh, that's odd. And we got to talk. And then I mentioned, I have a Fuji cross trainer bike, and he had no idea what that was. And he says, oh, and then when he finally got it, he started laughing. He says, by biking, I thought you meant motorcycle. He says, I was thinking, how's he losing weight on a motorcycle? Going 10 miles a day on a motorcycle. So anyway, yes, bicycle, man-powered bicycle. And so moto, I thought Daytona was motorcycles. Sandhurst is the officers training academy near Windsor, I believe. I know a few Sandhurst chaps, says Maya. Or Helene, sorry. Somebody pulling out with their diesel truck. We've got a diesel truck. That thing is noisy. I do ride bicycles, but I prefer the vroom vroom roar of a metal horse. You know what they said about the Harleys? Potato, 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 potato. That's how they sound. That's the distinct, copyrighted, mind you, Harley sound. Man-powered, you sexist bigot. That's me, Matt Finn. If my bicycle were woman-powered, I'd be riding on the back. Entendre time. You can pedal my bicycle. I'll double ride with you on your bicycle. You can give me we should call giving you a buck. Come on, hop on, I'll give you a buck. Remember, I grew up in the late 60s and the 70s, and we had the bicycles as kids with the big handlebars, that came out, and the banana seats, and sometimes the big bar in the back, curved bar in the back. And so your friends could always sit right in the middle of those handlebars, right in the front, and put their feet on either side of the why can't I think of the word all of a sudden, the nut and bolt that's coming out of the tire as the wheel would turn, and they had their feet on that. They'd be sitting on your handlebars and cradled in there, and they could hold on to it. So we'd say, we'll give you a buck. Come on, I'll give you a buck to school. And so there's that. Let's see, they get that sound by firing order of their cylinders. There it is, Matt. Potato, 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 potato. That's what I believed also, Susie Q. I figured motorbikes were a side entertainment thing. Fat bottom girls make the rockin' world go round, said Doug Stack. I'm glad you think so, Doug. Let's see, Angel Bars, said Odyssey Radio. It says Russ. Angel Bars, axles. Yes, the axle. There it is. That's the word. And so, yeah, we used to do that all the time. We were everywhere on our bikes. We were like the kids in E.T. and other movies that hopped on their bikes and went everywhere. I was just one step out of, we were just talking about this with somebody yesterday about the movie Stand By Me, which took place in 1957. I was born in 60. So by 68, 69, 70, that's when we were all these kids on the bike. So, it's just a click of a generation out from 1957. those kids in that movie would have been, in their 25 to 30 years old by the time I was that age. But we had our own bicycle gangs of kids. And by gangs, I don't mean anything negative. Just we got the gang together. We go out biking and all riding around, cruising all over the place on our banana bikes. So I got a Huffy bike, said Doug Stack. Now or back then, Doug? Is that what you're talking about? I had a Fuji Cross trainer about the time I met Raini, and it got stolen. But that was a good bike. I remember back in Detroit, my Detroit days when my daughters were born. So we're talking, they're 29 this year. So when my wife was pregnant at the time with them, my then wife, 28 years ago, something like that, I was biking in Detroit. I would get up every morning and I would bike another about a 6 mile track. I was in great shape back then. And of course, you got to figure age factors in there as well. 28 years ago, 30 years ago, what was I? I was 31. I was 30 years old 30 years ago. So I would bike around. I was in great shape. But there was this big hill toward the beginning of my biking where I'd pick up a lot of, and I always heard when you go down the big hills, don't stop pedaling, don't coast, pedal with it. So you're still working out. So I would pedal downhill and I was keeping up with cars. It was 30 mile an hour. I was not quite doing 30 miles an hour. I was probably doing a good 18 miles an hour to 20 miles an hour going down that hill. And of course, you got to be careful then. You hit something with your bicycle at 20 miles an hour, you're done. You're done, son. But I was a young man. I was careless and adventurous. And so, let me turn this back to the way it was. And so I was going down that hill and I hit a little tiny pothole. It blew out both my tires. So I came coasting to a stop and I had to pick up my bike and I threw it on a shoulder and I had to hike back up that hill to go home. So I hiked up the hill and walked it home. So that's the only mishap I had on that bike. There was a big hill at the end where I would deliberately set it on the lowest gear. So you were like, just struggling, and my pedaling was like this. I go up a big hill that went up to a bridge toward the last quarter of my 6 mile trek, and I would push that at the lowest gear. So it was like working, it was like lifting weights, and that's what I would do to work out. So anyway, yep, out in the world with no form of communication at home, beautiful days. I'm not sure what that's about. Probably going out. I miss the late 70s, 80s, early 90s. Me too, Steph. Make sure your ass is home when the street lights come on. Boom. You're right. Now, we grew up, as all you know, because I've told different versions of stories of what happened in those days, but my mom was a waitress. She, single mom with 3 kids at home. I have an older brother and a younger sister. And she would leave instructions for what to make for dinner every day. And she'd go to work at about 3 in the afternoon, thereabouts. So just before we'd get home. And she'd come home about midnight, usually. Sometimes 1 a.m., something like that, depending on closing. She was a waitress at a little pub. And there was a restaurant attached to it. And so that's what my mom did for a living. We're alive today, not because of the wages she made there, but I'm pretty sure my grandpa made sure we didn't go under. We had a nice little house in North Minneapolis and up in the northern stretches. We were 1 block outside of Minneapolis proper in Brooklyn Center. But we had a little corner house that I'm sure my grandpa helped her buy. I'll bet it was about an $8,000 to $11,000 house back in the mid 60s when she bought it. And so that's where we had. I talked about the fields. We had on the other side of the street behind all those houses, there was open land for running for like 2 miles in each direction. It was like wild land, long grasses, trees, the woods we called it. But then on the other side of that field, it was like a big city. The width of a big city block was the busy street, Lyndale Avenue, and then the Mississippi River ran along Lyndale. And it was so right in the middle of civilization, we had these miles of that open land. And I've talked about that before. That's now Interstate 94 coming out of Minneapolis going north. So those fields are all gone. It's all the interstate. And you can drive on the interstate. Now, every time we go by there with my kids, I'll point up and I go, you see right there, right on the other side of that wall was the house I grew up in. And because the houses are all gone. Hey, clean son, come on over. Non-stinky son. There we go. Oh, what? Nah, just come and sit. Let him worry about it. Yeah, there you go. So Sam is back. Here we go. Man, you smell like soapy clean. You smell like Irish spring clean. Clean and fresh deodorant protection.
Well, I am now.
What soap do you use?
What is it? The Henry's?
Oh, the Henry stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Doug says my brother will be 48 in May. I'm still only 41. My brother's not quite a year and a half older than me. Do you remember much about Uncle Joe?
I remember him coming to a couple birthdays, but that's about
Yeah.
it.
I haven't seen him for a few years. He's kind of a loner. He's got his girlfriend, and he kind of checked out of our family. You know, our family's terrible, and he checked out of all of that. And one of these days, I'll make contact with him again. How you doing? And but my older brother Joe, he was a Marine. He got into jujitsu, and he's like a 10 times over black belt in jujitsu, and he's an instructor and all of that. He's like who's the guy from Karate Kid, the bad guy? Why is it on the edge of my tongue? And everybody's been talking about that. Somebody will come up with a Venom or something like that. You went by, or whatever it was. But he was the bad guy, and the instructor, bad guy. And to be 41 again. Isn't that once a Marine, always a Marine? Yeah, that's why I say he's a former Marine. And you're never an ex-Marine, you're a former Marine. I'm a former Marine. And so my brother, he's all that. And so he's probably got a six-pack, you know, he's built, he's tall and lean. He got the tall and lean gene from my dad. I got the broad and big-shouldered and barrel-chested gene from my mom. And Strack, I'm not sure what that means, Elderberry. So John Kreese, Cobra Kai, that's it, Cobra Kai. That's what I was looking for. So that's my older brother, kind of a Cobra Kai type of guy. Does very well in life. And my young sister never had kids. She's been married to the same guy. My younger sister now, my little sister, 5 years younger than me. She's 55 years old now. Little girl, little sister. And she's been married to the same guy since high school. They got married, I think at age 18 or 19, right out of high school. They dated through high school, and they're married. They're still married. They got no kids. They got a place up north.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah. What? No kids or the place up north?
That they've been together since high school.
Yeah, my brother and I used to give Mark, my sister's husband, crap all the time. Oh, you're dating her sister, huh? You know, but he's 5 years young. But little brother will be 50 this year. Yeah, it's crazy when you think of that. I tell people my daughters are going to be 30 in their next birthday, and they're like, "Oh my God, you've got to be kidding!" Or Sam. Sam was a little boy when most people met him. That's Sam. What was that Renaissance Festival thing that happened where you were walking with Abby and Bryn?
Abby and Bryn took me to the North Carolina, the Charlotte Renaissance Festival up here when I moved up here. And out of nowhere, somebody were walking and somebody goes, "Is that Scotty's kids?"
See, that's crazy. When people in other parts of the country, well, it's all the Renaissance Festival circuit, so they recognized my kids. But Sam was a little kid. He was like 3 and 4 when I first brought him out to the festival, and I had some people that would watch him for me out there while I was doing my shticks out there. But pretty much, I get pictures of us taking a nap. He's laying on my chest. He can't be 2 years old, maybe. Laying on my chest, sound asleep, in costume. We had him in a little Renaissance Festival era costume. So, There was good times. Smell of Irish Spring, Audrey. That's Irish Spring. You know, soap up with it in the morning, and you know, good, you know, fresh deodorant protection. So, as they would say in County Mayo. And my younger brother's 42, and he's in prison again. Hey, congrats, Sean. Oh, that sucks. Sorry to hear that. Maya says, I love the Ren festivals. That's where I learned to make mead. Ah, yes, mead. So I had the mead maker would give us mead all the time. And we did a show. One of our shows, The Smoker, was outside the mead booth at the Minnesota Renaissance Festival. So we always got mead. I'm the youngest of four. My mom's only 68, says Doug Stack. My mom was born in 42 or 3. I think 43. And so she was 17 when she gave birth to me, and 60. So my mom is now, what's 17 and 60? Mom is 77 years old. I'm the middle kid. My brother's older. So she had my brother when she was 16. So, or I may be missing it a year. It might be 17 and 18. So, anyway. So what time we got? It's 10:41. This is just for those of you, anybody watching or listening. Remember, the Sunday morning show is informal. It's not one of the formal radio shows. We just get on and we talk. Usually, Raini is here. I haven't seen her this morning, so she's either trying to sleep in. Keep her in her thoughts. In your thoughts, she's stressed right now. Just so much going on all the time, and the kids are not cooperating very well with her. You can only do so much threatening and rewarding over the phone. But my son, whose voice is changing, by the way, Flynn is 11. Every time I talk to him, he's like that. He's got that. It sounds like he has a cold, and it's not. His voice is starting to change. He's getting tall and lanky. And I tell him, hey, you got to help your mom today. Yesterday morning, I said to him, hey, son, I said, surprise your mom. Go up to her this morning and use this voice and say, good morning, Mom. What can I do for you this morning that will help you out and make your day better? I said, try it. I said, she'll probably have a heart attack. I said, figuratively. And he's like, no, I don't want to do that. And if you can get words out of my son, I've mentioned this before, my beautiful little wild son with a great sense of humor has turned into a kid who only speaks in Neanderthalistic guttural tones. You know, it's all the same thing. How was school? Hey, you want to play a card game? So that's the way he is. But he tells me no on the phone yesterday. I said, go help your mom today. Help her out. She's got a lot on her plate now that I'm not there. No, I'm not going to do that. I said, oh, excuse me? And I'm good natured with him until he talks to me that way. And it's like, I don't know if that's his sense of humor or the way he's expressing his sense of humor. But I said, son, no, I'm serious. Go tell your mom you're here to help her today. And he still says, no, I don't want to do that. I said, why not? Because I don't want to do that. I don't want to clean my room. I don't want to do this stuff. So, yeah. Oh, there. Somebody told me, Tussle, you're here. Tussle, you're here. Come here. Oh, there's my boy. There's my boy. Then he's gonna do his thing where he's all slicked back. You know who he looks like when his hair is all done up like that? He looks like can't remember the name. It was Ragnar's son who became the king in Vikings. He kind of looks like him a little bit, especially when he first had his hair cut. So, let's see. Heard about Ellery. She's doing good with the glasses. So far, she's a day in. So, tussle his hair. Maya, it wasn't Philly. I think it was Scranton or Stroudsburg. I don't know what that's in relation to, but there you go. I was born and raised in Philly, says Maya, and the Ren Festival and the Philadelphia. Oh, it just scrolled off my page, so without hitting my mouse. Pennsylvania's filled with those events. Yeah, we had the Minnesota Renaissance Festival, which was owned by the same company that does the Colorado Renaissance Festival. It does North Carolina Renaissance Festival. They had 5 of them around the country. Kansas City Renaissance Festival. And so you'd see a lot of those actors would travel around to those shows. So the guy who played the king at the Minnesota Renaissance Festival for 27 to 30 years, George Herman, he went and played the king in, I think, some of these other festivals. So I got 3 here. I can't imagine getting that far. Good times. Says MSC. I don't know what you got 3 of. Sam looks just like you, a different color chin and hair. Yeah. I don't know how he went from blonde. Well, remember, guys, I'm gray and white now. But my hair was a lot like his hair is now. Maybe a little less red in it. But the first time I grew my beard when I was his age, 21, it was red. But then it turned and then, it became dark. And your hair will change. He'll probably have darker hair at some point if he follows my genetics. And then I'm all white. All my beard and mustache, facial hair is all white. Yeah, they aren't actors. It's their life. That's true, Doug. We used to say that you can tell a festie, that's somebody who follows the fest circuit and plays a role out there. You can tell festies, their boots are more expensive than their cars, which is the truth. You get some of those boots made, it can cost you up to $700 to $1,000 15 years ago. I mean, they're good quality. They will last you for life. And they're gorgeous. The Catskill Mountain Moccasins booth. And it was owned by Mark Goldfarb, and who's a friend. And he did very well at that. And built his little empire and his fortune off making those moccasins. And they would they'd put a big sock on you when you were going to buy a pair. And in the booth, they'd take a big sock up to the knee and put it on like an athletic sock. And they'd make a duct tape mold of your leg and foot. And then they would ask all the materials you want and the buttons you want on it, or what kind of laces and things like that, what style of boot, how tall, ankle, mid-calf, or up to the knee. And they'd craft these gorgeous moccasins. Moccasin boots, moccasin shoes, moccasin booties. He said booty. And they were gorgeous, but they could cost you upwards. I bought a pair for $695, I think it was, back about 16, 17 years ago, and they were worth it every penny.
I was looking at a pair when Abby and Bryn bought me. Abby was going to get me a pair, my sister Abby, and
she was going to buy you a pair of those.
Yeah,
That's
we just never made it back to the booth, or she was just
conveniently didn't get back.
Yeah, but she said she wanted to get me a pair. The pair that I was
Mark Goldfarb. Goldfarb, Doug.
The pair that I was getting was like $1,250.
Yeah.
So
I got a pair for of all things for a girl, that woman that I was dating, and they cost me about $1,200. And but I knew Mark, and I was doing some trade, doing some advertising work for him and stuff. And so we worked that out, and she was into horses. We put horses inlaid into the leather and all that kind of stuff. And they were that was for Lindsay. And I'm sure she still has them and uses them today, but she broke up with me anyway, still, eventually, which is a good thing. Otherwise, I wouldn't be married to Raini. So that was the year before I met Raini. I got those for her. So anyway, conventions, conferences, festivals, fairs, concerts are going to be so slammed when we all open up again. I can't wait. Yeah, I know. I know. I'd like to do another conference, another event. When we did the Paradigm Symposium, I'd love to do that, but I have to find a way to do it where I only walk out with $12 after having $225,000 go through my account. I'd get all that money in, and there was barely anything left at the end. We were lucky if we could pay the mortgage that month and go out for dinner after the show. But it was worth doing. We loved doing it. If I could make that thing be a thing that actually made us a living, I'd do more of it. And but that was all when we were doing the radio, the magazine, Intrepid magazine, Intrepid radio, doing all the other stuff. So, and the Paradigm Symposium, we call it. We should call it Intrepid Symposium. We do it again. So, I want to secret believe you're Indiana Jones, says MSC. Thank you, MSC. I'd like to secretly believe that too. I put on my fedora right now, but it's out in the truck. So, but it's not an Indiana Jones fedora though. It's my other one. So, it's funny I've got 4 fedoras from Penman Hats. Not a single one of them is the Indiana Jones fedora. I've got my my Humphrey Bogart fedora. I've got which was my first one, the Casablanca, made by go over and see John Penman's site, Penman Hats, Penman, penmanhats.com. And he does hats nowadays for all the like casts of all the Star Trek shows. He sold one to William Shatner, who saw him at a show and said, "Where did you get that lovely hat?" when he was getting an autograph for his son. And he told him, "Well, I make them." And Shatner took him aside and gave him his personal cell number and said, "Call me." He says, "I want to get one of those made." And so Shatner had to make a Indiana Jones fedora. The and I've told a lot of these stories before. Brent Spiner, who played Data on Star Trek, the guy who played McCoy, the Australian actor. His name is on the tip of my tongue. He played McCoy in the J.J. Abrams Star Trek movies. He bought a fedora or 2 from him. And the woman he was dating at the time was Katie Sackhoff, who played. She was just in the. What did Malevolent come into my mind? The Mandalorian. You've seen her before. She was in Longmire, the Western show. Carl Urban, that's it, Audrey. He's got one of Penman's fedoras. There's a fellow, and the only way to describe him, I don't know if he's black or if he's Hispanic. Older man, meaning like in his 60s. He was in the Mandalorian as well. He had the black lightsaber. That actor. He's got a difficult name to say, or at least a longer name. He bought some fedoras from Penman. That's it. Boy, right off your top of your head, Audrey. Giancarlo Esposito. Yeah, that sounds very Latino. So I thought he was light-skinned Black American, or he was Latino. And so all that to say, Penman has in the last few years really gotten around to the Star Trek cast, Star Wars cast. A lot of people in Hollywood buying his hats. But out of all my fedoras I have from him, I don't have an Indiana Jones fedora, which was what launched his career as a hat eater after he became disabled as a firefighter about 15, 16 years ago. And so I've got to get me one of those. I'm going to get one of those one of these days. The authentic Indiana Jones fedora. He learned how to make those from the guys who made them for the movies, the old guys, who were old hat ears who learned from even older hat ears from the 30s and the 40s. And there was, I know I've talked about this before in talking about John Penman and his hats, but did you know there was this thing called, when they're sizing up or bashing a hat, the shape into the hat, a thing called the Indy turn. And that's where Harrison Ford, when he put the blank hat on, it had a dome on it, and they hadn't bashed it out yet. They wanted to put it on his head for fitting it and starting to bash it into shape. He pulled it on, and the bow is supposed to be above your left ear. The bow on the hat band. And he took that, he brought it on, and he twisted it a little bit. And so the bow sits above his left temple. And that's just a little kind of costumer's inside thing about his hat. And they ended up bashing it that way, bashing it straight in that way. And so his bow sits forward. The hat's it's got the little turn on it, down to the stitches. And Penman hand stitches all these hats and puts the satin liner in and the leather hat band on the inside. And he uses vintage where he can get it. He buys these old spools of vintage hat band. And I've got a couple of his hats that have 70-year-old vintage ribbon on them with the bow. And it's great stuff. You can't wear white Reeboks and fedoras and say you're a cowboy. No, you can't. But you can wear a good fedora with anything. I could wear a fedora with this shirt and blue jeans, and I could wear a fedora. I could wear a fedora with a suit, and I often do when I have to dress up for something. When I have to go to court, when my son had some court issues a few years ago, I'd go to court, and I'd take my hat off in court, but I would always wear something like blue jeans, an untucked shirt, a nice vest, a suit coat, um, a scarf, little pocket square, little silk, and my fedora. That's the way I dressed. So blah blah blah. You can be a cowboy and wear a fedora though. So anyway, there you go. That's all we got for today, folks. It's a little plug for my friend John Penman. Not paid advertising, just impromptu. If you're looking for a good hat, good fedora, go over to John Penman's site, penmanhats.com. You can find him. He's on my friends list. He's on Audrey's friends list. Audrey knows John Penman very well. Oh, there, she already put the link up there. There's Penman Hats. Now, if you go to Penman Hats, by the way, go over to Penman Hats. Why does it tell me turn on enhanced protection? Not sure what that all means. So I was just going to the site. There it is. You go to Penman Hats. If you scroll down toward the bottom of the page, you're going to see a slideshow that John put together of a bunch of pictures of John Ward and I wearing our Penman hats. John's got the Indiana Jones fedora, and I've got the Humphrey Bogart Casablanca, he called it. And you see all kinds of a whole series of pictures of John and I. Well, I'm looking at one now where we're standing in an office behind a desk, looking both to the side. That's Howard Carter's office in Howard Carter's old house in Luxor, Egypt. Howard Carter, the guy who discovered King Tut's tomb. You've got the television set when we were putting that show together. We're standing in front of Hatshepsut's temple. We're at Gebel El Silsila. All these different places in Egypt, and John still has that up there. I think that's pretty cool. That's from a few years ago. And so you can see a little slideshow of John and I wearing our Penman hats. That's kind of fun to see. So John has two dapper gents. Yeah, there you go, wearing his hats on his website. Great photos. So CW, have a great Sunday, and you as well, and you're welcome. Thank you for being here. And we're going to wrap it up now pretty quick. I rock my bald head and wear my Skechers, says Sean Bowden. Bald heads are cool if you got a good head for being bald, and a good fedora on that head would just class off the top. So, not that you don't have a classy bald head. MSC, I have around 80 baseball caps in my collection. What's your count at, Scotty? Baseball caps? Baseball style caps? 2. I got a MAGA hat, and I got a Trump 2020 hat, and one other baseball cap. It might be a scouting, a Boy Scouts camp or something. Cap. I don't wear baseball caps well. It was never my thing. So, bald heads and baseball caps. I don't have any baseball caps.
Subscribers, and we'll shave his head on live radio.
Oh, there, from my son. Yeah, you get me up to 2,000 subscribers, I'll shave my head. Unless my wife said she would never let me do that. I said, my hair's getting so thin. I told her, I said, I'm just going to shave it. She said, oh, no, you aren't, mister. When she says mister, it's like, okay, I guess I don't get to. So, but you know what I'd do if I had a bald head? I'd tan it. I'd shine it. I'd look awesome with a bald head. And then my hats would fit better. I don't know, maybe not. Maybe none of my hats would fit anymore. Dog, stop licking my feet. Dog. Let's go advertise, people. There says Doug Stack. What, you want to see me bald that bad? So you look really good bald, Scotty, says Audrey. Yeah, wouldn't I? I'd let you touch it and everything, Audrey. So you'd look really good bald. I'm not licking your feet, Doug Stack. Sorry, that was the dog. There.
Go like that on the top of his head. It goes.
Yeah. I rubbed the top of my head. Oh. Yeah, there he is. So he's the hairy dog that leaves his hairy deposits all over everywhere. So cooking brunch, everyone, but listening, have a great day. Matt, Finn, you too. We're going to get out of here. It is now 11 a.m. We've been going for 2 hours. So we're out. Guys, thanks for being here, spending your Sunday morning with me. And we'll be back all week, Monday through Friday, 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Mountain Time, 7 p.m. Audrey's in the room, West Coast time. And for the Intrepid radio program. Sometime this week, we hope to get back into kind of our normal flow of the way things work on Intrepid radio. So we're going live until we get all set up. So folks, thanks for being here. You have a great Sunday. Have a great rest of your day. And it's good to see you all. I'm so happy you were here. You make my Sunday. All right, guys. We'll see you all tomorrow night. Peace. And by the way, live long and prosper. We'll talk to you all later. Have a fun day.